We have nearly 3 times the amount of available homes now than we had this same time last year. Let's talk about that and more in this week's segment of Market Watch. Hi everyone, Joshua Barks here, Associate Broker with Keller Williams Realty Boise and Team Lead of the Barks & Co. Real Estate Team. Thank you for tuning in to this week's segment of Market Watch. If you're new to the channel, we talk about the Boise area housing market on a week-over-week basis, and then once a month, we go into a deep dive into the market dynamics. This week, we're just talking about our weekly updates with just kind of a mini snapshot of what's going on in the market. Interestingly enough, we have more than 1,300 available homes for sale, ready for buyers to buy them in all of Ada County right now. That's the first time we've had that many homes since September of 2016. In September of 2016, our average days on market was 40 days. So more than a month. Right now, our average days on market is 16 days. So we're still a long ways away from that. And our average days on market is continuing to increase because that 1,300 available homes we have right now is almost 3 times as many as the 500 available homes we had this same time last year. And when we look at the number of overall pending, right now we have 561 homes pending under contract. That's basically the same as last week when we had 569. But if you look at this time last year, we had over 800. So we had dropped in the overall demand by a third, while supply increased by almost 3 times. That's pretty incredible. We're likely going to continue to see prices flatten and stabilize as we have more inventory come on the market and demand either remains flat or lowers. I don't see an increase in demand coming anytime soon with the rising interest rates that we're facing. Speaking of interest rates, the Freddie Mac report that came out this week shows that the average interest rate for a 30-year fixed in the country right now is 5.81%. So almost 6% we're getting up to. And they have said that we're not seeing that slow down anytime soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're more than 6% by the end of the year. I know earlier on in the year, I was thinking maybe we'd be 5.5% up to 6%, but it's now looking like we might be 6, maybe even 7% by the end of the year, based on whether or not the Fed continues to stick to their word and continue to increase that Fed rate. Now, when we're looking at the number of homes that are available and the number of homes that are pending right now, one other interesting factor is that over the past 2 weeks, we saw 550 new listings come to market. Out of the 550 new listings that came to market in just the last 2 weeks, only 79 of those went pending. So only 79 buyers bought out of that 550. So that means 471 homes are still for sale out of the 550 that came to market. So that's, again, why it comes down to how important it is to price your home correctly if you're a seller, as well as make sure that your home stands out against the competition and is one of those 79 homes that goes pending in the first 2 weeks, rather than being one of the 471 homes that stays on the market longer than 2 weeks. So that's kind of where a key agent comes into play, as well as having somebody that understands really how to navigate a shifting market, because that's really where we are. Gone are the days where anybody could just stick a sign in the yard, slap a few photos online, and the house will sell itself basically within a couple of hours with multiple offers way over asking price. That's just not the market we're in anymore. And I've been talking about that for a while, that it can't continue like that forever. I think we've finally started to reach that plateau point. It's unlikely that prices are going to drop significantly. We still won't likely see homes that are $250,000 in Boise for something that's perfect and ready to go. But we are likely to see prices soften because buyers aren't going to have to compete nearly as hard for homes anymore, which is just fantastic news because things will start to be a little bit more fair. It's about time that we kind of start balancing out there. However, that being said, it's still technically considered a hot seller's market. It's just nowhere near as insane as we've experienced the last 2 years, so it doesn't feel like a hot seller's market anymore, even though it is if you look at historical trends. Average of 16 days on market versus 40 in 2016, even though we have about the same amount of listings as we had then. So that being said, if you're thinking about moving in the near future, for buyers, it's better if you buy sooner than later, most likely, because then you can get a house at that lower interest rate. And then prices, like I said, are still appreciating. The average sales price has yet to come down. So you'll get the home at a lower price as well as that lower interest rate if you're thinking about moving in the near future. However, if you aren't thinking about moving in the near future and you decide that you want to wait, you'll likely end up paying more in interest rate because, as you've seen over the past couple of months, with just 2 percentage points in interest rate, buyers lost so much purchasing power that they have just based on the interest rate, solely interest rate, not even factoring in rising home prices. So if you are delaying your move because you're waiting for the market, you might get caught up in that interest rates pricing you out of what you could afford today. Now, I'm not here to scare anybody. If you don't have a good enough reason to move and you don't want to move right now, that's perfectly acceptable. It's up to you. Everybody has a very individual and unique situation. I'm just here to provide the information that I have based on what historic trends are and based on what we're seeing currently, so that you guys can make an informed decision on what is best for you and your family. And on the seller side, like I said, it's never been more important practically for price to be so critical right now. We're seeing a lot of price reductions in the market. And so that is causing people to believe, oh, prices are coming down. Well, no, unfortunately, sellers are just still pricing, sellers and agents, frankly, are still pricing homes just too aggressively because the market's been doing this. They're like, oh, well, I can price my home here and the market will come to meet it. Well, the market has flattened out. So if you're pricing your home above where market value is, hoping that the market's going to catch up, well, if the market comes down and we start to see prices soften a bit, which is kind of what we're seeing, you're going to end up chasing the market down. So it's going to be super important to have an agent that understands how to read the comparable sales and understands how your home and your property fits into that, so that they can advise you on a great price. And then condition. Buyers are pickier than they've ever been, and for good reason. They have options now. Instead of looking at one home and your home being the only home that they could decide on, and it's just a simple yes or no, I'm moving right now. Or now where we have, 5 or 6 homes to look at that are very comparable to yours, very similar, they're just going to choose, like any good buyer in any market, regardless of if it's homes or electronics or what have you. They're going to look for something that has the best value to them. So the highest condition for the best price. And then that's what we're seeing. Only 79 homes went pending in the last 2 weeks that had come on the market freshly. And in the last week, we saw 136 homes go under contract, even though we had 270 new listings come to market. So again, that's why it's critical to price your home right. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm always here and happy to be a resource for you. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Summer's officially here, and try to stay cool because it is getting hot out there in Boise, Idaho. Well, that's what I have for you this week. Next week, stay tuned. I'll get into the next update. And again, hope everyone has a good one, and we will see you then.